Hi, family. My name is Janice. I'm a grateful recovering addict. I want to thank God for my life. I want to thank God for the willingness. I want to thank God for recreating me as a person. I want to thank God for the process of recovery that's outlined in the big book, Alcoholic Anonymous. You know, I'm here to share my experience, strength, and hope, to tell you what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. Well, what it was like for me, I came from a very, 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 very dysfunctional family. Uh, from as early as I can remember. And mind you, I'm 64 years old today. So as far as I can remember, I used to see my dad beat my mom unmerciful. I mean, just like break bones, and I'm just like looking at this lady like, how do you let this man beat you like that? So at an early age, I had resentments. I just didn't know that they were resentments. And also at an early age, men used to touch me, and I equated them touching me as that they loved me. So I had some more issues. On top of that, I was always a curious child. If you say no, I say go. You know, I developed a personality around the age of 7 or 8. And then it came to the point where by the time I was 8 years old, I had so much trauma and turmoil, and my conception of love, my conception of God at that age was totally off key. My father ended up molesting me at the age of 9. I tried to tell my mom. My mom just like looked at me like, yeah, okay, I don't believe you. So all my life I yearned for that emotional time with my mom. I wanted that nurturing that I seen other girls get from their mom. And I never got that. And to this day, I've realized that my mom gave me the best that she could give me. She can't transmit nothing that you don't have. But I also realized that she loved us on her own way. I just wanted her to love me the way I wanted her to love me. So that was the problem. So I left home. I was 10, maybe going on 11. I got with an older guy that was selling heroin because, mind you, at that age, I was in survival mode. I needed to learn how to be out on the street. I didn't have a place to stay. I didn't have a hustle. I didn't know how to be a woman. I was just a child in a grown folks world trying to survive. So I learned at an early age how to act as if, you know, they was doing that. That's what I was doing. They was doing that. That's what I was doing. And I learned the game. I was a quick learner, very, very quick learner. I learned how to sell heroin at an early age. I learned how to board planes at an early age. I knew how to go out on the street corners and sell heroin at an early age. And all this led to me going in and out of the criminal justice system for the next 45 years. In and out. At one time, I thought prison was my home, because I knew how to do time real, real good. I came out here, I couldn't exist. So at about the age, I had tried weed, didn't really turn me on. I tried drinking. I didn't like that effect because I didn't like to feel like I wasn't in control. And that's what alcohol made me feel like, that I wasn't in control. So I ended up being Bonnie and Clyde. You know what I'm saying? I tried prostitution. It didn't work for me. First of all, it didn't work for me because I like to have sex. So I forget to get paid. So I wasn't making any money and they were using me. But then I met this guy that told me you can make some money real fast. All you got to do is get a gun, tell him to lay down. I found my niche. I had arrived. I had arrived. I was robbing everything that looked like it had some money. I even robbed the wash house, mind you, for the quarters. So that took me to my first stint in California Youth Authority at the age of 17. I had already had a baby. I had my first child when I was 14 years old. I left her at the hospital, never went and got her. Just gone up and left. Mom, Dad, you have her. I don't have, what could I give a child? I was still a child myself. So it was nothing I could possibly give a child. I ended up doing 2 years in California Youth Authority. I came out. Things was kind of like, I had a little counselor that was telling me about this inside turmoil. Like, why was I so hateful? Why was I so angry? And she kind of like planted a seed way back then, but it would take 30 more years for that seed to actually cultivate. I did pretty good when I came out of youth authority. Met this guy. He put the wool over my eyes. Mind you, he was 20 years, almost 30 years older than me. I was 21 years old. Ended up getting pregnant by him. That's my middle son. For about 6 years, kind of did good again. Then I started dibbling and dabbling with powder cocaine. It was okay. I could do with it or I could do without it. But then I met this guy that told me about freebasing. I had a ride. I was there. I took a hit and all I seen was lights. It was like, this is me. You know what I'm saying? So this is at the age of 21. So for the next 20 years, I went in, out of prison, in and out of prison. And in the programs, it says we put our lives on the line so many times for that next hit. Never understood that until I got into this work, this process of recovery. I found out how I almost got burnt up. I was in a hospital in the burn ward. I left the hospital, got on a bus in a gown in a wheelchair going to find another hit. That's how you put your life on the line for these drugs. This is how the unmanageability and the powerlessness of this drug has over your life, and we come, like, for me, I came to this, I didn't come into recovery, going to a treatment center to get sober. I went to a treatment program because I did not want to do 25 to life. So I got an alternate sentence, and that was God working way back then. I didn't know that. God was working for me then because he sent me to this treatment center, and then they planted a little seed. But me, I'm a self-centered, self-seeking, selfish individual. It was all about me. It wasn't about my children, my mom, not anybody. It was all about me, my money, my status, and how I felt and how I looked. Because I could dress the outside up real, real good. I could walk out looking like $1 million, and inside I feel like shit. So I needed that next hit to make me feel all right. You know what I'm saying? And then another hit to make me feel a little bit better. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know at that time I suffered from this disease that centers in my mind and my body and my spirit. You know what I'm saying? I know for me that once I put one in, all bets are off. Because I suffered from that obsession, that allergy, that phenomenon of craving. But I also learned in this process that as long as I don't put one in, I have nothing to worry about. But the only way that I have that kind of power is that I tap into the power. And see, first of all, I had to admit that I was very powerless and that my life was totally unmanageable. You know what I'm saying? Then I had to come to believe that a power greater than me could restore me back to sanity. So then after I did that step, I made a decision to turn my life from my mule over to a current God as I understand it. Not your God, not your God, not anybody's God. I got a God list, what I need my God to be in my life every day. So every morning, I look at that God list, I meditate, I burn my sage, I ask God, what would you have me to do today? Your will, not mine. See, because words are powerful, especially in the term that you use them in. And see, in this process of recovery, the first thing they ask you to do are you willing to follow some simple direction? And see, that's that ego to say, I don't need them. I got this. But if you play the tape and you realize how many times your best idea got you fucked up. Your best idea got you homeless. Your best idea got you in jail. So for me, I had to be all out of ideas. So once I got to the treatment center, I still had an ego problem, big as mouth sack. They sent my ass back to jail in the treatment center. That's how bad I was. But I was only supposed to be there for 2 weeks. But as my God would have it, he kept me there for 90 days. I cried for 90 days. I called my son. I asked my son, could you please come and bail me out? It only costs $500 to get me out. And he's going, no, I'm not going to bail you out. I'm not going to do none of that, Mom. He said, what you need to do is you need to sit there and realize, what do you want out of life? You got grandchildren now. You want to raise your grandchildren like you raised us? That's God. That's another act God did for me. You know, God was doing for me what I would have never done for myself. Never, ever, ever. Because I was powerless, because I wasn't tapped into this power that I'm tapping into now every day. So I ended up going back to the treatment center, and my mentor, my spiritual advisor, works at Prototypes, and she was like, are you ready to sit your ass down and just be quiet and listen? Take some simple suggestion? And I was like, is that all I got to do? She's like, yeah, you might just get this shit if you shut up. You know? So I sit there. So she told me, get you a sponsor. I immediately start going to the Zoom meeting, looking for somebody that would sponsor me, that would take me through this work, that would bring me from a place to a place. Somebody that would guide me to this sunlight of spirit that I'm seeking daily. You know, because what you see now is God. It's not me. It's that God in me. Because if you'd have met the old Janice, you wouldn't have liked her very much. Because if you didn't have anything to give me, fuck you. And that's how I felt. But now I've had this opportunity to start working these steps, this process. And I can't tell you that my life is great, but I'm living a life beyond my wildest imagination. I'm living a life that, who would have thought that I had the power or even had the courage to come back to school and haven't been in school with almost 30 years and do what I'm doing now. It's not me. It's God. That same mother today, she hasn't changed. She's changing, but she hasn't changed. But now I know that it's the God in me to see the God in her. Because there's no more God in me than it is in each and every one of you guys here. And the same God that I got, he's inside of you. Because see, God is not in a building. He's not on no poster. He ain't nowhere. He's right here. Well, all that shit that keeps you loaded, he can't get through it because you got to get that shit up before he can get in. You got to tap in. And for me, to you guys is, I don't know, don't let it take you 40 years before you tap into this power. I would suggest that you go to meetings, that you get a sponsor, that's going to take you line through line through line in that book so that book come alive. You get that book, you be like, woo! Say that shit. Say, woo! Now I know what I'm suffering from. Now I know why I'm powerless, because I don't got no power. And see, ego, edge of God. Pride, number one killer. Because I don't want to ask nobody for help, because I'm used to doing this on my own. And what have doing it on your own got you all this time? Nothing but another jail cell, sleeping under the bridge. God has been good to all of us. But all I can tell you to do is you got to find a God of your understanding. You got to find a God that you're tapped into. Not your mama's God, not your daddy's God, not your grandma's God, but a God of your own understanding. Because see, before I thought my God was a punishing God. He was either a punishing God on one hand, or he was, if you get me out of jail this time, I promise you ain't gonna do it no more. If you just hurry up and give me another hit, I'm gonna be okay, God. That's the God that I had before I got into this work. So I'm just here to tell you that the process of recovery does work one day at a time. I'm a living witness. And if you be new and you still in these rooms dying, you don't gotta die. Get your sponsor. Go to a meeting. Find somebody whose story you hear, the similarities. Or get somebody that can take you so you can see yourself in that book. Because once you diagnose yourself as being powerless, once you diagnose yourself that you need this power, and you're a real one like me, you'll tap in. My name is Janice. Thank you. Come on, somebody.